Hi, this is Heather Tokas, and I raise monarch butterflies. Butterflies from Heather's the name of my business, and this is Dingo Talk.
What's going on, Chuckleheads? I am Carlo Guadagnino. This is the Dingo Talk Alumni Tour. My guest this week, Heather Tokas, class of, what year did you graduate, Heather?
89.
1989. So that would mean you got to Bethany in 1985. Born in Wheeling, raised in Wellsburg. Why from Brooke County did you choose Bethany over West Liberty or even a Franciscan, I think, or Steubenville College it might have been at that time?
Yeah. Well, Bethany had a great reputation and still does. So I was very happy to attend Bethany College. And I was undecided in my major for 2 years. But Bethany was a small, quiet, comfortable, in the country place. I'm used to in the country. I'm not big on big cities.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really nice and comfortable, and it was very, very homey, and it was a great experience for me.
Now, what pushed you
Yeah.
towards your social work? Because you get your major ends up becoming social work. You get your degree in social work. How do you gravitate towards social work?
Well, I've always had a heart for people, and among my peers and family, I've always been the peacemaker, the person that people come to spill the beans, uh, to tell a secret to, or to try to negotiate a problem. So, um, it just fell into place for me to go into social work after 2 years of trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So, and I also have, I'm musically inclined, and I almost went to the University of Rhode Island on a music scholarship, but
Wow.
I chose Bethany. Yeah. So.
So as you're, through the 80s, I've had a large number of different groups from the 80s on the alumni tour. What are some of the things for you that stood out, that kept you on campus? Because I mean, really, it's just a jaunt down 67 and you're in Wellsburg. What kept you, or did you not stay on campus during the weekends and whatnot? Did you go home?
Yeah, well, I might have been the black sheep of Bethany College because I really didn't drink or like to go out and party, and I was never thirsty on Thursday. but I just really enjoyed the serenity of it, and I didn't have a car until my senior year, for one thing. But of course, family was very close, and anybody could come get me from Wellsburg at any time. But I also worked in the registrar's office the whole time I was there, and I also was the programming assistant. So I had 2 campus jobs while I was there, and including throughout the summer, I was house manager and still worked for the registrar's office, on a regular basis. So and Bethany just became my home. I was very comfortable there. Yeah.
So let's go. We'll take ourselves to 1989 real quick, just so we fulfill the alumni tour side of this.
Oh, yeah.
There's a test, that damn test. It connects all of us. It keeps us all as Bethany people together. It's comprehensive. What were
Yes,
your
I know.
comps like? Were you a May comper? Were you a winter comper?
Really, Carlo, did you have to ask that question? So, actually, I had to redo my comps. So technically, I should have graduated in 87. So I ended up taking a year off and recuperating from the trauma, of not passing my orals, actually. So the writtens were good, but yeah, it was quite a challenge for me, but I did go back and I finished what I needed to do, and I ended up graduating in 89. So my my technical year of arrival was 83, and I finished in 89. So I was on the 5-year plan, but I took a year off.
Hey, I understand the extended plans. I had an extended plan at Bethany. I graduated and lived there for a couple more years. There was a very extended stay there in the town.
Yeah.
So in 19, so you graduate. When does the butterflies, I guess, and I don't mean that like the butterflies you get in your stomach. I mean, when does butterflies become
Right.
your thing?
Yeah, so I had butterflies in my stomach and butterflies flying around me, you know. And then, you know, I like to make the joke that I'm a social butterfly at this point, right? Because I raise butterflies, I'm a social worker, so it just all kind of fits. But yeah, so the butterflies came into my life when I was 8 years old. So that was back in 1974. And that's been quite a few years back. All right. So so it was just something that I did as a hobby and as a passion every summer. And in the year 2000, I decided to make it a business once the internet came about in the late 90s. You know, we were able to learn things from other people quickly. And so I realized that other people were doing it as a business, and that's really what I love. And I thought, well, goodness, you know, I can do it seasonally. If someone in New York is doing it, I certainly can do it, you know.
Absolutely.
Because I had already been raising them for, you know, over 25 years at that point. So so yeah, it was great.
Now,
To
can
get
you
started in
dive in a
butterfly.
little bit more on the, so you start out, you're going to create a business. What was the goal? Because I know there's some therapeutic things that go on. There's a little bit of holistic medicine in that realm that with the butterflies. So can you dive into what, when you
Nowadays,
first started to what you are
yeah,
now? What was the,
yeah. Yeah, so nowadays butterflies are much more recognized than they were back then in 2000. You know, this was a very new industry. I learned about the International Butterfly Breeders Association and became a member, and that had just started in, I think, 1998.
okay.
So the butterfly industry just became a very new industry, and I learned about it early on, which was great. And so started just rearing in numbers instead of, you know, just singly. So I do weddings, memorial services, birthday parties. I do fundraisers. I set up a walk-in butterfly tent at events. People use the butterflies for a lot of different fundraising ideas. So as a matter of fact, I'd like Bethany to do one. Why not? You know?
Let me ask you, what goes into breeding a butterfly? Like, how does that process, and how long does that process take?
Yeah. So it's an interesting question because there are very many species of butterflies. There are hundreds, okay, and thousands. But here in West Virginia, um, you know, there's, I don't know, maybe I think 100 or a couple hundred species. But anyways, each species requires a specific host plant where they lay their eggs. So if that host plant is not present, then they won't be interested in mating and they won't be interested in laying eggs. So so that and temperature and humidity, hours of daylight, all of that is very specific to each particular type of butterfly. It's more complex than people would realize, and you have to be very detail oriented and very precise and get things right, or it can be a flop in no time.
Now, what
Yeah.
is the, I just had this pop into my head because you named all the things that all the events and whatnot that you use or that you have the butterflies for. What is the strangest event, I guess I would ask? What's the strangest thing that you've been asked to bring butterflies to?
Oh gosh. I don't think that I have any idea. Everything has been pretty appropriate, I guess. I don't know.
So no,
Maybe my
the
life's not that
butterfly,
exciting, maybe.
the butterfly industry doesn't get brought to like football games or like senior prom or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, but I have people to ask me butterfly questions at those events, like they see me out in public and they say, "Hey, can you identify this picture for me?" And they show me pictures on their phones. And um yeah, so yeah, it's happened at football games and just odd places, but yeah, I haven't really done any releases at any strange places, but a lot of different fundraiser things, for sure. But and I'd like to tell you that in 2004,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to meet Governor Wise, and he encouraged me. I was talking to him about my butterflies, and he encouraged me to talk to my local representative, because my question to him was, how do we get a monarch butterfly day started in the state, because the monarchs were starting to become endangered
Mm-hmm.
back then in 2004. So I successfully lobbied legislators and established West Virginia Monarch Butterfly Day, and it's every year at September 12th. So that's coming up.
It
So we
is.
have time to celebrate.
This will be released. We're watching this. Everybody at home is watching this on Thursday. For those of you at home, Monarch Butterfly Day will be Monday of the following week.
Yeah.
So what goes into that
Yeah.
process, the legislative process, and what you had to go through to get that established? What are the steps?
Oh, that's a great question, because I knew nothing about politics. I was I was immersed in learning marketing in those 4 years of being in business. I didn't have a background in communication, marketing, anything along those lines. Um, so I just contacted the local person here. Jack Yost was our delegate at the time in Brooke County,
Mm-hmm.
and he said you needed one sponsor, which means one lawmaker to present it to legislation, and he would be willing to do that for me. So I got familiar with what the committees were
Mm-hmm.
at the state level, and who did what and what their interests were. So I ended up writing a lot of emails, and I went to Charleston a couple times, met people in person. Um, I ended up having 7 delegates sponsor it,
Wow.
and 5 senators. So I ended up with 12 lawmakers who were interested in what I was doing, which I heard was pretty phenomenal, to get legislators to agree that much with each other.
From what I hear,
And,
it's almost
yeah,
impossible. So we might need to send you somewhere else
yeah,
to get some things fixed. But
this was the this was the peacemaker. I'll tell you, it was. I had a strong argument that West Virginia recognized the monarch as our state butterfly. And in the previous 10 years of 2004, they sustained unseasonal winter freezing rain, which they can't survive. So they died by the millions,
mm-hmm.
2 times from 94 to 2004. So my argument to the lawmakers were, we're recognizing this as our state butterfly, and we say we love it, but what are we doing for it? It's in danger, it's
Mm-hmm.
in trouble right now. So why don't we create a day that we can have during the fiscal school year, and educators can use it as a vehicle for conservation talks and getting familiar, connecting kids with nature, and start stirring some interest up, uh, with students in science. And, monarchs can teach us geography. They go from Canada to Mexico. They can teach us math. They can teach us health. There's so many things that you can teach through butterflies. So
Now, how
yeah.
long
So
did the process
September
take?
12th. The life cycle, or that process,
No.
or the actual
Yeah, making it
the
Monarch
lawmaking
Day. Yeah.
process.
How long did they?
Sure. Yeah. So it was a matter of I think 6 weeks, and I actually have a chart, a link to the West Virginia Legislative website, and it shows every little step that they took, and when another action was taken on it, and it was started, I believe, I don't know, I don't know, it was February, early in February. I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but it finished on March 13th.
Okay.
So that's when it was done. So it started in February, and then it got finished March 13th of 2004.
And so you were talking about the migration, just the migration of butterflies. I think I'm trying to wrap my head around. So monarchs will go from where you are in Brooke County, West Virginia. They'll make their way up to Canada, down to, what's the life expectancy of a monarch butterfly?
Yeah, so that is one of the mysteries of the monarch butterflies, because the normal regular season, which is June through September, those broods only live up to maybe 8 weeks if they're lucky, 9 weeks. And so the last brood, the last group that is in the end of September and October here in West Virginia is able to migrate to Mexico, but they go into what scientists call diapause, and it's just like it sounds. It's a pause in their life. Okay, so we have menopause as women, and we have diapause as butterflies, and caterpillars actually go into diapause too. But so that means they basically slow down their whole system. They're no longer interested in normal life activities, and they just save their energies for survival only during the winter. Yeah. So it's very
similar to
similar
hibernation.
to hibernation. Yep. Very similar to hibernation, but they don't go into a deep cave and freeze while they're there. They stay cool, but not freezing.
Now, is there a specific type of caterpillar that becomes a monarch butterfly?
Absolutely. Absolutely there is.
And what is that?
Yeah. And it's found on the milkweed plant, and it's a beautiful black, white, and yellow striped caterpillar. And I've got several pictures and some videos of them on my Facebook page. I don't have a website, but my Facebook page is just simply Butterflies from Heather. But I do have some chrysalis here. I don't know if we can see this in the camera or not, but
yeah, there we go.
Is it focused? Is it focused?
Yep, it's focused. I can see it.
So these have a very shiny gold band on them. Whoops, the camera's going opposite. How about that?
There we go. There we go.
So these are the chrysalis. So I think monarchs are especially fascinating because they do go from the yellow, black, and white striped caterpillar to this beautiful green and actually metallic gold chrysalis. And then they turn into an orange, black, and white polka dotted butterfly, which, if you notice, I have on a black shirt with white polka dots and an orange an orange overshirt.
I did notice there was a little color coordination there.
Yeah, I'm dressed like a monarch, okay?
Let me ask you this. As we're going to be coming up on West Virginia Monarch Day, what can people do in the West Virginia area, in the Pennsylvania area, in the Ohio area, to really help with the butterflies and with the monarchs in particular?
Well, The best thing to do is to obtain milkweed seeds. And if anybody needs or wants milkweed seeds, they have the space to put it in. I do collect them every fall, and I usually just give them away. I
Mm-hmm.
gave some away this morning, as a matter of fact, several hundred of them. And I also provide them to DNR when they need them, the state Department of Natural Resources. So I work on a state level that way and help get milkweed everywhere. As a matter of fact, I had the opportunity to be on the state's Monarch and Pollinator Summit, and I was on the panel of experts and giving advice on what people can do. That very
Mm-hmm.
question that you just asked. Um, so I like answering that question, and I like helping people on their way with, getting that accomplished. And the more milkweed that is available, the more habitat the monarchs have, and the more that we'll see monarchs. Um, it's a tricky area here in West Virginia because of our mountain range.
Mm-hmm.
So when the monarchs come northward from their travels, they follow the coastline, and then also on the other side of the mountain range. So West Virginia is kind of like split in half that way, with the big Appalachians going right through it. So we usually see the monarchs a little bit later than our neighboring states do, and
Mm-hmm.
even Michigan sees monarchs sooner than West Virginia does in the summer.
That's weird.
I know. I know. Does that make any sense to you?
Not unless they must have taken 90 up instead of coming across and getting on 79 and
Yeah.
70 on them. That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And you pointed out between 1994 and 2004 how far it had dropped.
Mhm.
Now, since 2005, when the legislation went in, has that number come back up? Has it improved?
It has improved. I can't say it's because of my conservation efforts, but possibly. I have educated a lot of people over the years. I like the educational part of it mostly,
Mm-hmm.
given school presentations and clubs, scout groups. I've been really involved with big statewide groups, Youth Day and things like that through DNR. So it's possible that I have impacted the numbers. Sure, my ego would like to say I have, but I can't prove it,
You can't take all the credit, at
But
least. You can take a little credit, but not all of
yeah,
it.
I can't prove it. But yeah, so the one thing that I have realized in life that people don't care about changing anything unless they have a personal investment or attachment to it. So if people don't have a personal relationship with monarchs, then they're not apt to really take action and do something for them that is useful and meaningful and going to make a difference. So I in my social work, working with families and child protective service cases and coming up with wholesome family activities, I created and coined butterfly therapy. So a lot of the parents hadn't ever seen a butterfly hatch out from a chrysalis, or watched a caterpillar shed its skin, or
Mm-hmm.
go into the chrysalis, or even touch the wings of a butterfly. So I kind of share that experience with families, and it creates a magical cohesiveness that is hard to describe. The butterflies really bring a lot of love to people. They have a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual value to them, and just something you can't put your finger on. So in that, healing happens. Butterflies show us that change is possible. We're crawling around as a caterpillar. having a hard life, you know, our skin gets tight, we got to shed our skin. And then, you know, the chrysalis is a time of contemplation and a time of metamorphosis where the changes take place. And so it's very symbolic as to what we all go through in our lives as adults or children, you know. So so I've enjoyed bringing healing to people through butterflies, and as a matter of fact, I ended up opening up a healing center this year in February in Wellsburg, and I've tied butterflies into that as well. And when I first opened up in February, of course, it was winter, and the people who know me as the butterfly lady, they're like, "Are you going to have butterflies here too? You know, are you going to bring your butterflies in here?" So I said, "Sure." You know, so I've been doing that for people, but the healing center is called Metastone, and it's in downtown Wellsburg, and people can check that out too. And it's just a place where people can connect and learn from each other, just create a wholesome environment, you know, because I think we need that more than anything in the world right now, to reconnect and be human together, you know.
I agree. That's what these conversations are all about, is that we're all people. We just take some time to get to know each other, you know?
Yeah, it's important.
So my last question, as we wrap this up, for those, let's give so it's Facebook, Butterflies by Heather, right?
From, like pennies from heaven, it's Butterflies from Heather. Yeah.
Butterflies from Heather. Give me the healing center one more time.
It's Metastone, like metamorphosis, META, off of the play off of my butterflies. And then stone, because we have to take steps. We have a stepping stone, you know, and each time it appears, you know, once we go to one step, then the next one appears in which direction to go. So Metastone.
Well, my last question for you is, for somebody, I've talked to a lot of social workers as well. For somebody in the social work field, is this something that maybe they can reach out to you if they're interested to try to help with, or maybe you can help them with the using it in their situations with?
Yeah, that's something that that I'm glad you mentioned, because it's been in my thoughts and my heart to offer to social workers and providers that are working in the trenches, I call it. You know, so you know, it just brings so much peace and joy, and I'm always happy to teach people how to do it, and you know, it overcome some of the obstacles that are the nuts and bolts of dealing with live critters, you know. But yeah, so yeah, reach out to me, and I'll get you started on butterfly therapy for sure.
Well, I wanted to say thank you for taking the time to sit down with me, and because I don't know about everybody else that watched, I learned a lot about butterflies, specifically the Monarch. I had no idea there was legislation about it. I didn't know the different phases. I definitely didn't know that they traveled to Mexico and come back.
Yeah.
I am Carlo Guadagnino. This has been the DingoTalk Alumni Tour. My guest, Heather Tokas, class of 1989, and Butterflies from Heather, and the Metastone in Wellsburg. So make sure you check all those out. While you're doing that, if you're sitting somewhere and you've got to this point of the show, make sure you hit subscribe down at the bottom here. You go on to Spotify and Apple Podcast. You can find us there as well. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Wisdom. I think that's it. You can find me on Facebook as well. My name on Facebook. Everything else is DingoTalk. Instagram is Dingo_talk. We're here every Thursday at 10 a.m. And after this episode comes out, the following Monday will be West Virginia Monarch Day. So make sure you get out and enjoy a beautiful Monday, and maybe you'll see a monarch. Heather, thank you very much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Have a great day, and we'll see you next week, Chuckleheads.
You too.